one is no good. Rebounded by Anthony. 2 seconds left. Anthony for the win. Cody rolls it. Cole Anthony gives the Magic a victory.
Close-up Magic.
All right. Welcome back to another episode of the Close-Up Magic. I'm your host, Stephen Cameron, and today we got a really special episode for you all today. Got a pretty big announcement that I'll get to here shortly, but before we get to that, we're just gonna do the normal plugging and housekeeping. Welcome to the show, everyone. It's gonna be a fun time tonight. So, first off, shout out to 19 Media Group, the network that we have been a part of for the last few years now. They're awesome. Check them out. They have so many good shows. The Baseline show, Gimmick Infringement, Late Night Lakers show, tons of really good podcasts on that network, and they've been really supportive of us. So we'll continue to be supportive of them. Another thing you can do if you want, go ahead and get yourself some Orlando Close-Up Magic podcast merch if you'd like to. That link is in the description. And if you want to help out the show, you can subscribe, leave a review, and share. All right, man. So everyone, listeners, this is like a pretty big show for me. Because like I said, I have a really big announcement. This was a really challenging decision. But this is actually the last episode of the Close-Up Magic. I'm not going to stop podcasting and covering the Magic. It's just going to look different. But the Close-Up Magic is shutting down. The Patreon program has already been shut down. Actually, the things I just read to you about the network of 19 Media Group, and liking and subscribing, you don't really need to like and subscribe. It'd be cool if you did leave a review. Maybe your review is something that you liked with this show, or maybe a memory that you enjoyed with it. Maybe shout out a guest that appeared on it. But the network, we're parting ways. They've been awesome. It has nothing to do with them, but just going in a different direction that does not connect with 19 Media Group anymore. And I'll get to that shortly. But before I go to what's next, I want to talk about the past and where this show has come from. In celebration, you're seeing my cats jump around in the background, and I'm drinking an old fashioned. And I'll keep this short and sweet, guys. I'm not going to bore you all up with sappy shit. But this show was started in August 2018. There has been over 130 episodes. Kind of seems a little small. There's definitely been some gaps during this multi-year run where there's been a month or two I didn't do any episodes, or maybe a month I only did one. But yeah, 130 plus episodes, which I'm pretty proud of. Over 50,000 plays between audio and YouTube form, which we started YouTube just 2 years ago. Over 50 plus guests, including players such as Terrence Ross, James Ennis, Pat Burke, media members like Kristen Ledlow, Dan Savage, Josh Cohen, Jonathan Sharks of The Ringer, RIP to the homie. We had all the Orlando Sentinel writers from Josh Robbins to Roy Perry to Kobe Price. We had draft specialist with Richard Stayman, PD Webb, player development specialist there. Zach Zickwer, who I think is I'm spacing on his name. I apologize. I messed it up. But he's a front office member now doing draft stuff for the Rockets. Man, and also like shout out to like the 6-man show. They've come on, Jonathan and Orlando Magic HQ guys. And back when the Penny and Pop podcast, we also had we've had so many great guests on. And then I just want to shout out the homies, some of the original OGs that have been listening to this podcast since day one. Jonathan Alisayed, Wyatt Allen, and Luke Smith. the homies, they really like early days, big supporters, helped me push this thing to, building a website at one point, posting articles, doing draft coverage, doing all sorts of stuff. If it wasn't for those three, I don't know how long I would have kept doing this show. And then the last people I want to thank, but probably the most important people, are everyone who's ever listened to this podcast, from my mom and my wife to every single Magic fan right now that's listening to this. And so anyone that's come on this show, anyone that's listened to this podcast, cheers to you. Cheers to the Close Up Magic. This has honestly been one of the most fun personal projects I've ever done. I did podcasting covering sports before this for 2 years with an old show called 40s at 7 with my co-host Miles Brubacher, one of the first guests ever to come on episode 1 in August of this show of 2018. So if you've ever listened to 40s at 7, please let me know. But I've been podcasting for a long time, and this is by far one of my proudest adventures, but I can't wait to what's next. I'm not leaving, guys. This show is going to say very similar. It's going to be rebranded. It's going to be with a completely new look and feel, with new people behind it, new partnerships, and it's really going to take off. And what we are building with the next group that I'm joining is going to be really special. It's already really special, and I wish I could tell you more. You'll probably find out within 24 hours of me posting this podcast. But it's going to be really exciting. I can't wait for you all to kind of see what we're doing and where I am landing, and why I've decided to close down the Close Up Magic and start this next venture. So you're not going to stop hearing from me. You're still going to hear me multiple times a month. The new show is still going to be guest driven. I already have some awesome guests lined up. We're actually recording our first episode later this week for the new show. And, it's going to be sick. I'm really stoked. I'm really, really stoked. So yeah, that's the big news. Some of you might have been kind of figuring something out as I've been posting some weird cryptic shit on Twitter, on X. But yeah, that's it. No more Close Up Magic. So cheers. Thanks everyone for listening. Thanks for hearing my sappy 7 minutes right now. And again, I really couldn't have done any of this without you guys. I've met a lot of you in person. And I appreciate every single listen, every single fan that's ever listened to this show or played it or shared it with a friend. So thank you very much. All right. This is a fun day too. Big news. Today was the League rookie extension deadline. So you had all these players coming out, and Neko Okongwu, Danny Advila, Josh Green. You had Cole Anthony, Orlando Magic backup point guard, second unit, 6-man for the Orlando Magic, signing a 3-year, $39 million contract extension, which is just fantastic. Its first year is $12.9 million. Second 2 years are followed by $13.1 million each. What's even crazier is the last year is a team option. I really thought when I first saw this contract that it was going to be a player option. I'm like, man, no way Cole is signing a $39 million extension with a team option. It's got to be a player option for 3 years, right? But it wasn't. It was a team option, which is awesome. Shout out Weltman for making it happen. It's just like really, really exciting that we got him on such a good deal. It's basically the MLE, the mid-level exception. And that's just super team friendly, right? It's not too long. It's not too short. Team controlled. Very, very respectable number for the Magic for our salary cap books. Also for potential trade, also get some Cole Anthony, get some good money in his bag right away. While also with the potential to hit unrestricted free agency in just 3 years, if you include this season and 2 seasons after that. So he can get back on the market and get a really nice, good deal, in a couple more years, if depending on how things go with that third-year team option. So really excited for that for the Magic. A lot of people were surprised at how low that number was. I was texting with guys from the 6-man show with HQ with my group with the Close Up Magic. Philip from Orlando Magic Daily. Also shout out Philip from Orlando Magic Daily. He was a big time supporter from this podcast from before it even started. Gave me a ton of tips and tricks along the way. I apologize I didn't shout you out in the beginning. But yeah, so we just got like this awesome contract with Cole Anthony. And I think a lot of us were shocked at how low the number was. I think most of us were thinking it was going to be closer to 15 to 18 million a year on the contract. A lot of us, myself included, didn't even think it was going to happen. I thought he was going to hit restricted free agency. I didn't think the team was going to want to lock him up this soon and then not be able to trade him this year, because now he's not trade eligible until the end of the season, if I'm not mistaken. And I just thought, they were going to make him prove it out a little bit, or that he was not going to want to sign for as low as a number that the team was going to offer him. But obviously things worked out. His agent and the Orlando Magic did enough market research with around the league. There were some rumors like, hey, the Magic might trade Cole Anthony. Well, maybe they were calling to see what people thought his value was, right? And they sort of gauged it. They're looking at the next couple of years, what teams have available cap space or could have available cap space, what their rosters currently look like. Do they have a need for point guards? A lot of them don't, that have open roster that can have open cap space in the next couple of years. They're pretty shored up with primary ball handlers. There's still some doubt if Cole Anthony is actually a starter level player, or is he just best suited for the 6-man role. He is an undersized guard too, which is kind of fine for the regular season, but as soon as you hit the playoffs, undersized guards get targeted, and very few of them are competent on defense enough to handle those targets, right? Fred VanVleet is one of them. Van Vliet is one of them that can not get targeted too bad because he actually can defend up from his position. There's a couple other ones that are really good, but Cole Anthony's a little unknown. Is he going to be able to handle being targeted? Is he going to be a defensive liability like most undersized guards, or is he going to be able to flourish and not let that be a problem, be a high-end playoff performer? So overall, I think this is a win-win for everyone. Win for Magic fans. We got a guy that we all thought was going to get paid way more for way less. Win for Cole Anthony. He gets some bag for the next couple of years, and gets a hit unrestricted free agency in a couple of years after that. Win for the Magic, as they get to still have very reasonable cap situation going forward, and a team controlled contract that could be very friendly for, or attractive for this team, or even potential trades if the right people and players become available. So I'm really excited about that. The next thing is Magic basketball starts on Wednesday. The NBA regular season starts tomorrow or today when you're listening to this on October 24th. It's just a really exciting day. It's a really exciting time. The Magic went 3-1 in preseason. They won against the Pelicans. Who else did they play? I can't remember. I didn't really watch a lot of preseason, to be honest with you. It was like really kind of shitty timing with how it lined up with my personal job. Oh yeah, we played the Cavs. I watched that game. I had some family in town, so it was really kind of awkward timing for me to like sit and watch basketball, but I watched some tons of highlights. I watched bits and pieces of some of the games. And I think what I learned most is we learned a lot about the rotation, right? We learned a lot about how coaches are going to use this roster. Cole Anthony is the 6th man. Jalen Suggs is the starter. Gary Harris is coming off the bench. People were wondering what the rotation could look like in that second unit with Anthony Black, Jed Howard, Joe Ingles, Jonathan Isaac, who was going to win the backup center position. And those questions have been answered. We have Mo Wagner, likely the backup center, because Goga kind of really did not play much with the backup unit, a little bit here and there, but he was mostly with the third unit. We had Joe Ingles pretty much right away playing with the second unit. It was pretty solidly clear that he was going to back up the 4. And then you had Gary Harris playing alongside Cole Anthony in the second unit as Jalen Suggs was promoted to starter. Good for him. Jalen Suggs, man, he's a disruptor on defense. He is so good. His offense still has some question marks. There's definitely some things like, we're going to be missing some spacing for a while. Even if his shot's starting to fall, there's people that are just not going to respect it yet to create spacing. And spacing is more than just being able to make shots from deep. It's being able to draw defenders to you. And that's almost more important than being able to make the shots, is having the respect to draw a defender out to you, right? We saw that with Terrence Ross. Terrence Ross was a high volume shooter from three. He really only shot 33, 34% a lot of the time. But he was such a threat that he would often get, pulled defenders onto him, sometimes multiple double teams with him. And it just created space for other people. So, we might miss that with the starting unit, but what Jalen Suggs does, in transition, secondary ball handling, third or fourth ball handling, playing next to Paulo and Franz and Fultz. But what he can do with the ball in his hands, as well as what he can do when he's defending. He's such a smart defender. He's really good on ball. He's really good help defender. There was this moment, I forget who it was. I think it was with the Cavs team though, where he basically wrapped around and just had this perfect block right in the paint, and then just got it back in team control and started a fast break. And it's just the average guys can't do it. Gary Harris, good defender. Really solid on ball, can make some good moves off ball, but he's not that same type of disruptor where Cole Anthony can disrupt what's going on offense and not just slow things down or stop it. He can disrupt it. And that's really important with Cole Anthony. I meant Jalen Suggs, with Jalen Suggs. Where Gary Harris, he's good on ball for sure. He's not a bad defender by any means. He's definitely a plus defender, but he's not the same type of disruptive defender that Jalen Suggs is. We learned that Jonathan Isaac is playing. He didn't play a ton of minutes in preseason. He averaged about 10 minutes a game. But we know he's going to be a part of that second unit rotation. And they're probably going to continue to. He's on a minutes restriction for preseason. I don't know if that's going to happen when the game strikes on Wednesday versus the Rockets. Is he going to actually be on a minutes restriction? Is he not? I'm not sure yet, but we'll find out pretty soon. But they definitely were controlling him a little bit in preseason, which makes sense. You don't need to risk him. You know what he can do. He's going to slowly ramp up in the season. You don't need him being 100% from day one. As far as shaking all the rust off, he'll get there. He had a pretty healthy offseason. So very exciting. That's the second unit. We also learned that Anthony Black and Jett Howard are not going to be primary rotation players. They're going to fill in when the time comes. A lot of times Anthony Black was the 11th man off the bench, but that was after, on that kind of dress rehearsal versus the Pelicans for the second time, after the second unit was kind of done, and they were bringing in the third unit to kind of show what's up in the second half. And that was when you saw Anthony Black kind of come in as the 11th man, off the bench there. And then, Jett Howard came in. Both rookies, man, they had some ups and downs with preseason. Anthony Black, he had some really nice defensive moments. He had a couple of decent offensive, positionings and setups, but he didn't really score a lot offensively. I wouldn't say he was a score threat. It was more so making some really smart passes, making some gravity for some people at the ball in his hand so that he could pass it out. He was a really good defender in certain segments, but he's going to take some time, particularly offensively. Granted, he was playing next to scrubs. No disrespect to the G League guys, but those guys are not NBA caliber players. When he's playing in the regular season and he's playing next to Joe Ingles and he's playing next to Gary Harris, if he's filling in for Cole Anthony or something like that, things are going to be so much smoother for him. But he's playing next to guys that are not even going to be in the league right now. Outside of, like Chumo KK, who is Chumo KK did not get a contract extension today. He's in a prove it year. So kind of a big question mark around him. And then you have guys like, Yeah. Jet. Sorry. Before I go on to the rest, then you have, Jet Howard, man, he was pretty cool. He made some shots. He had a couple of games where he's making some really nice shots. Last game versus the Flamingos, I think he went like 5 for 8 from deep, something like that. I had 21 points, had some really nice offense there. It was really nice to see him kind of like make some shots because guess what? This team's biggest flaw is spacing and shooting, and we are tempted to address that by drafting Jet Howard. And he had a couple of games where he had some really nice shots and really nice shooting, and he's still got some things to figure out. Like, he's not going to be a regular rotation player unless injuries are happening or certain situations, things. I mean, he'll get on the court at some point, but and then you have Chumo KK, who is him and kind of Goga, they kind of got to prove themselves a bit more. Goga had some good moments on the floor too. He's a smart defender, pretty efficient scorer, but a little bit limited with how wide his game is. But with where he is at his game, it's pretty solid. Chumo KK had some nice moments, but we got to figure out who they're likely not a part of this team's long-term future, particularly Chuma. I wouldn't be surprised if Chuma is like salary filler in a trade later this year. We'll see, but it was a pretty good preseason. I feel like the team is in a really good spot with their chemistry right now, with their vibes. The offense is definitely more developed than just strictly dribble handoffs like we saw the whole time. Joe Ingles he's awesome. Like, he's doing some like skyhook cross court passes, which are really fun. He hit some shots. He shot pretty well from three. Him just being on the court is gravitating defenders to him. They stick to him a lot differently than they stick to some of these other players, and is really fun to see him there. Jonathan Isaac, man, that dude is still a defensive monster. It's pretty insane. In that Cavs game in 10 minutes, he had 3 blocks. Like, are you kidding me? He's still got some stuff to shake off offensively a little bit, but he was trying some stuff that was not like unfamiliar that we were seeing in the bubble, a little bit of off the dribble moves, more than just like catch and shoot threes. It was pretty nice to see him kind of like get back into that offensive mindset, and we're only going to continue to see that. So I'm looking forward to hopefully having a good, healthy season with Jonathan Isaac this year. Wendell Carter kind of had a disappointing preseason, but I'm not really worried about it. Paulo too. But I'm not really worried about those guys. They're going to figure it out. It's preseason. Paulo had a long summer with USA, playing in FIBA. Wendell Carter, maybe some guys just save it for the preseason or for the regular season. Franz didn't exactly have a good preseason when he was a rookie, and he crushed it, his rookie season. There's plenty of guys that kind of like sleepwalk. Plus, you also have like the coaches that are really they're tweaking things. Preseason is an extension of training camp, right? Where they're trying new things offensively, they're trying new things defensively. There's things that they tried in the preseason that they might not ever try in the regular season. There's things that they tried that they're like, hey, there's something here. Let's keep working and evolving it. So it's pretty exciting to see. Just like where the team's at. All right, so I'm going to pull up the Magic schedule. I don't have it right now up, so give me a second. Where I have Magic schedule. 1 second. And so opening night, Wednesday, October 25th, we are playing the Houston Rockets. It's a big night for the Magic. Home opener is always fun. It's a throwback night, so we get to see those 6 star jerseys that are going to be in place. If I was in Orlando, I would be there. I know a lot of you guys are all going to be there. Show up, show out, be loud. It's going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait to tune in and turn it on. I'm working from home that day. I already got that scheduled. I'm going to have the TV on right at 4:00, ready to 4:00 my time. That's 7 p.m. Sorry, East time. I'm in Pacific time zone. Then after that, the Magic go directly on a really big West Coast road trip. They fly out to the Trailblazers, the new young, exciting Trailblazers, DeAndre Ayton, Scoot Henderson, Anthony Simons. They're going to go fly out there. Then they go see LeBron James and Anthony Davis with the Lakers, with a back-to-back with the Clippers on Halloween, the 31st. Then they hit the road one last time with the Jazz on Thursday, November 2nd, and then they get back home for their next homestand against the Lakers, Mavericks, Hawks, and Bucks before they hit the road again. I'm not going to read the full schedule. It's a rough opening, having one home game followed with a huge West Coast road trip. They're not even getting like teased in with just like a short one up to like Washington, D.C. or something like that. They're going straight to the big 4-game road trip out West. Which will be a really good test. If we come back from that road trip and we're like 3-2 and 5 games total, that'd be sick, right? If like we get a win through if we win at home and we beat the Blazers, we beat the Jazz, can we squeak out a win from the Lakers and the Clippers? I'm not sure. Those are going to be really tough matchups, but this team's got lofty expectations. They keep preaching playoffs. So maybe we get a win there with one of those games. But if we got back from that road trip 3-2, I'd be psyched, and then we're back at home and have a good chance to continue to make up some ground and play with the home atmosphere. So it's exciting game, exciting time, exciting experience for the Magic right now and Magic fans. Definitely the most exciting, stoked and excited I've ever been. I've said excited a lot in the last couple of moments. I apologize about that. I'm going to use some different vocabulary for the rest of the podcast. I'm stoked. I'm skeezed out. I'm lit for this Magic season. Probably the most energized I've been for a season in a long time. I'm going to give my prediction. I think this team will make the play-in. I think we're going to be either the 8th or 9th seed. I don't think we're going to be the 10th seed. I don't think we're going to be the 6th seed. But I think we could definitely be the 8th or maybe even 7th seed and surprise some people. I think we'll have roughly a 41 win record, probably kind of anywhere between that 38, 39, and 43 wins would be really cool. It's definitely possible that the Magic could have a better standing. There's teams like the Raptors and the Bulls that could blow it up. The Raptors never seem to blow it up. They always kind of just let people walk away in free agency. So we'll see what happens with them. They got Pascal Siakam, I think he's on an expiring deal right now. You have DeMar DeRozan who's expiring for the Bulls. So those are two teams that could blow it up and help the Magic standings. You have the Pacers and the Hornets. A lot of people are down on the Hornets, and I understand why. They're full of drama, and they could be losing one of their best players, and who's piece of shit in Bridges. He's an awful human being, but he's a really talented basketball player. And so I don't know if they're going to be much of a threat anymore. But the Nets could be kind of be in that range too, and so it's not going to be cakewalk. The East is really good. Hawks are going to be really tough this year too, but it's going to be a really, really tough season for the Magic to take that step, but I think they will. I think they're ready for the challenge. I think they're up for the challenge too. And if not, this team will probably make some moves. So, yeah, guys, that's it. I'm going to keep this episode short. I'm going to keep it under 30 minutes. We're at 28 right now. Thank you all for listening. From the bottom of my heart, I really appreciate it. The Close Up Magic has been such a great project. The Orlando Magic have been so kind to me during this time. They've given us media credentials every year since my first year. I've been, myself or people that have helped me with this project have been at every media day. Since after my first year, we missed this media day. We've had people cover in-person games. Shout out Jonathan Wyatt, CJ, homie. Again, I'm trying not to get sappy here, but I just really appreciate all of you guys. So for the last time with the Close Up Magic, peace. Let's go Magic.